We've got the May is Mental Health Month in Wayne County. We have a proclamation. Mr. Bell, how do you want to handle that,
I'll
Mr.
yield
Bell?
to him if he wants to read it.
Okay, Mr. Smith, we have a special guest. Would you come,
Might we invite the
please,
guest up?
and tell us who you are and your address?
I'm on the board of the Mental Health Association.
Come up to the podium. You have to. We're being it's for TV.
I do a lot of these things.
We're recording. Go ahead.
I'm born in Chicago. That's
Tell us who you are and your address.
Jim Slowinski, 306 Tramway Place. I'm here to talk a little bit, just real briefly, because I know people have been here a long time, about the Mental Health Association. Remember, it was dead for a while. It's not dead anymore. Take a look at the bell. We're back again.
Show
okay?
it this way.
This way. The bell is back, and we've started out working with educators now. We're teaching them. Tomorrow, in fact, there's a lunch and learn, which we do once a month. It's on religion. And maybe some of you might be involved in that. There's 30 people that will be there at Wages tomorrow for our lunch and learn. We are now on the front page of the News Argus, I believe it was yesterday, and we're on the front page that we're resurrected. We're back again. We've gotten some grants, and so we appreciate that. And I just want everybody to know that we're coming back. It's a 50-year-old program, Mental Health Association in Wayne County, and we were dormant for about a year and a half. And now we strengthened our board, and not only in numbers but also in their talents. And we're back again, and the mental health is here to stay.
Thank you, Jim.
And thank you, gentlemen. I think you've probably all got an invite to our annual party that we call it.
Yes, sir.
At the museum, and that'll be on the 30th. And so anybody who would like to donate and come, it'll help us. That's our big money raiser. And I rest my case.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just being, okay.
We have a proclamation. Would you like to read it, Jim?
Yes,
There
yes,
it
sir, I would. Thank
Yes,
you very
sir.
much.
To our thousands that view us on TV.
And just to
So you can
prove,
please.
just to prove that Chicagoans can read.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I was thinking Cubs, but he was referring to something else. Go ahead.
Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall physical health and emotional well-being, and caring for your mind as well as your body is good for all overall health and vital for success in your personal life, at work, and school. And whereas mental health will strike nearly 1 in 4 adults and children in a given year, regardless of age, gender, race, ethnicity, religion, or economic status. And whereas mental health problems are as treatable as many physical illnesses, and people who have mental illnesses can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas an estimated 2/3 of adults and young people who have mental health disorders are not receiving the help that they need. And whereas the cost of untreated and mistreated mental illnesses and addictive disorders to American businesses, governments, and families has grown to $100 billion annually. Whereas community-based services that respond to individual and family needs are cost-effective and beneficial to consumers and the community. And whereas East Point Human Services and the Mental Health Association in Wayne County are engaged in helping people to achieve healthy minds and healthy lives. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2013 is Mental Health Month in Wayne County, and calls upon citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools to recognize the importance of mental as well as physical health, and to commit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people who have mental illnesses. This is the 7th day of May 2013. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time, and thank you for what you've helped us do already. We got a brand new office now, and we're working at that, and we're back in order again. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
What's the pleasure of the board on the proclamation?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion of proclamation, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Next is Emergency Medical Services Week in Wayne County proclamation. Here we have Emergency Medical Services Director Blair Tyndall here, and this is proclaiming May 19th through the 25th as Emergency Medical Services Week in Wayne County. And he may want to read that proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Chairman, board members, pleasure to be here. I think actually I'm deferring my time to Mr. Aycock. Is going to read that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Your boss just said go.
They just said go.
He told you
Figure it out.
You're the one that does the work.
Okay.
You go for it.
Before I read the proclamation, I just want to say that it's a pleasure to work with the group that we have here. We have had our rough roads with the EMS lately. The actions that's taken by the board and by the staff here, the morale is much better, as Mr. Aycock said, and I appreciate your commitment to that, and I appreciate you following through with it. I have two employees here with me today. Mr. Brian Smith is our assistant EMS manager, and Miss Angie Maddox now, but her new married name is Barnes, and Miss Angie was the actual first EMS employee that we ever hired to ride on an ambulance. So she's here today to enjoy this as well. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams in Wayne County are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency medical care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services teams in Wayne County consist of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, fire department, first responders, administrators, and others, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services teams in Wayne County engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas Wayne County citizens benefit daily from the knowledge of and skills of these highly trained individuals, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishment of the full-time and part-time Wayne County emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week, and whereas this year's theme is EMS, one mission, one team. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims May 19th through the 25th, 2013 as Emergency Medical Services Week in Wayne County, and urges all citizens to recognize Wayne County Emergency Medical Services personnel for their valuable contribution to the safety and wellness of our citizens. This day, 7th of May, 2013. Mr. Chairman, with your pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Okay, the motion, is there a motion on the floor that we adopt this proclamation?
I'll make a
Mr. Aycock, thank you so much. Any comments, questions? One comment, I spent one day with you, Mr. Tyndall, you and your staff. Brian, I really appreciate what you do, and I know I speak for all the commissioners and really all the citizens. We appreciate everything, and my eyes were opened wide to be able to experience what I experienced in the professionalism. Certainly the victims, but you've got great staff, and they have a passion for what they do, and they want to learn more and do better at what they do, and I just appreciate that. Mr. Aycock?
I just wanted to kind of say the same thing that the chairman just said. I've spent several days at the Jeffers building, but Blair and Joe and Mel and Brian, they all do an outstanding job. But I've been in kind of the position that they're in. They kind of get the praise for it, but the people that's putting their feet on the ground is what's doing the work. That's our ambulance drivers, paramedics, and I'm going to leave someone out. All the people that's involved that's going out in the field doing the work, that's the ones that gets the credit. They're doing a good job. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mayo?
Yeah, I agree with all the comments that I've heard. EMS, OES as a whole does a great job. I hope Angie, congratulations to you, but you're supposed to live right there close to me. I always felt comfortable when you lived close to me, so, I'm sorry? Okay. You feel better now? Thank you. Yeah, I feel better. But at any rate, I want to thank, OES has a really good group of people to work with, and they will do anything under their power to do for this county and for its citizens what's right. And I just want to tell you, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Any others? All those, yes,
Chairman,
yes, sir, Mr. Cromartie.
I would just love to say that, not to downplay any of the resolutions in here, but the sheriff is gone. But I uphold high that which the sheriff department does, and that's which all of the rescue people, I know you got a lot of different names, but we don't want you to come, but we sure want you to come if we need you. We don't want to be calling. But I don't want to see you in my house, but I sure want to know you out there somewhere, just in case I need you. So that's just want to say that, and you know I say thank you based on that.
Any other comments? All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Okay. You're welcome. Okay, we move on. And Mr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, board members, the next two items, I'd ask David Harris or R.S.M. Harris if he'd come forward to discuss the 2011 Community Development Block Grant, North Carolina Catalyst Project. Item number 7 being the procurement of engineering services, and then if you would move into the procurement of legal services.
Take care of both of them. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. I think you have in your agenda package, we had received proposals for engineering services for your 2011 Catalyst project. That's our Love Drive project, involves water, sewer, streets and drainage and sidewalks, submitted to all the registered engineering firms in the county, as well as some in the surrounding area that had done similar work. Submitted to 9 firms. 3 firms had responded, and the recommendation is a Goldsboro firm, McDavid Associates, who has worked with the county in the past on its community development projects. Let me take the other one. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're also, in fact, for all professional services, you've received proposals. And so certainly a large part of these programs are legal services involved in title opinions and closings, that sort of thing. Submitted requests for proposals for legal services for the CDBG project, submitted to the firms in the area that had identified themselves as real estate specialists, since in essence that's going to be the nature of our legal services. In fact, I think we submitted it to all the firms that had identified themselves as legal specialists. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 6 firms. We had 3 firms respond. We recommend that we continue legal services with the county's, with Bedore Parker and Hine, the county's current attorney. They have been involved in these projects in the past. They know the system. In fact, they pretty much developed the forms and the procedures, and recommend that they be identified or designated as providing legal services for your CDBG projects as well.
Okay, thank you for going over that, Mr. Harris. Any questions for Mr. Harris? I want to ask Mr. Smith. Mr. Harris, Mr. Daugherty, Commissioner Daugherty has a question.
Could you explain to me what the this CDBG project is?
Yes. The 2011 Catalyst project is a neighborhood revitalization project.
Okay.
That is for a portion of Love Drive off Arrington Bridge Road in the Dudley community. It involves, right now there is a dirt gravel street that's just private. That road is, water line is going to be installed. Right now it's an undersized line. 6-inch water line will be installed. The road will be constructed and paved to DOT specifications, put on the state highway system. There will also be a sidewalk added that is now one of the standards in the community development program whenever there's any road improvements that are made. that sidewalks are provided in order to provide for walking access and that sort of thing. In addition, for the houses that are within that project area, they'll be eligible for repair assistance, or if they're beyond repair, then they would simply be torn down. And in that case, there's a tenant that would be relocated. So that is your community development program. It's a 2011, in fact, I was here back, I think, in the fall. We just received release of funds on that project. You would think it'd be almost over.
How was this project determined? How did you determine this particular project?
Well, each time there's a grant cycle, we look at what the state's rules, regulations, priorities are.
Right.
And then simply see if there is a neighborhood or area that would fit that. Now, we've been working with the county now since '85. So we have surveyed, identified blocks, neighborhoods, et cetera, all over the county. In 2009, we had applied for all of Love Drive, from Arrington Bridge Road all the way to the dead end, because it was $800,000 project. The project scored well, but not enough to get funded. There was no cycle in 2010. In essence, there wasn't one in 2011 until last year, and they were a year behind. So we took that 2009 project knowing that it met what the state was looking at, and then we simply reduced it in scope, tweaked it a little bit, made sure we met as many of those criteria that perhaps we didn't the first time, and the project was approved. And it was only, let's see, I think out of that cycle, one of 12 or 13 funded across the state. So the county hit the bullseye in that case in order for that project to be funded. They are extremely hard to get funded now. Less funding and a concerted effort to distribute funds geographically regardless of the need that may exist within the neighborhood. So it makes it tough, but this one was funded.
Well, thank you. You really enlightened me a great deal on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Any other questions? We've got two items here, not proclamations, but these are resolutions that we have to have read and signed off on. So
You don't have to read them. You can just by motion. I was talking to the attorney.
Yes.
You can have a motion that would approve both items
Okay,
if you choose.
okay. Before we do that, I got just one question, and then we'll get into the motion part. I understand how you apply for the grants, but you go through the process and a protocol. Let's use road right now. It was a gravel road. It was not asphalted. So how do you take NCDOT in account when you want that road built to DOT standards? They have to approve it, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, as part of the process of the grant
The
application.
engineer in
DOT.
designing the work, the plans and specs, submit to DOT before it's ever bid.
Okay, the engineering firm, do they
Yes.
submit to DOT?
Yes.
Okay. Second question, is this in the MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization?
No.
Is this road in the MPO?
No.
Okay, what sanitary district is this Love Drive in?
Southeastern Wayne.
Southeast Wayne? Southeast, southern, I don't know, I'm asking.
Southeast or southern one?
No, this is Southeastern Wayne.
So Southeastern Wayne Sanitary District, you said they had water. Are these going to be sewer available to these people?
No,
To these
there's no
citizens?
sewer anywhere near this area.
No.
Okay,
If there are, any septic systems for which there were problems, they would be upgraded
okay.
as part of the improvements as well. So any environmental issues that result with that, they would be upgraded.
Okay, if it's Southeastern Water District, who is the engineer for Southeastern Water District?
McDavid Associates.
Is there not a conflict? Just asking.
No. In fact, in projects we've done all across the eastern part of of North Carolina, a lot of times the engineering firm, either some cases we have a county water system without districts. In some cases we'll have like Wayne County, where you simply got a number of water districts themselves. And
Yes.
in a lot of cases, the water, the engineer for them can be the same. I mean, we've had it before,
Okay,
yeah. And
Okay.
in fact, in this case, that firm, having worked with the county and knowing the county system, and then, of course, being more than knowledgeable
Sure.
of Southeastern Wayne's specifications, actually makes it quicker.
sure. Understand.
Otherwise, it would go to another engineering firm for review.
Yeah, you had 9, it went out to 9,
Yes.
and 3 responded.
And again, Southeastern Wayne would sign off on it as well
Sure. Okay,
before it's bid.
all right. Any more questions, comments? We'll take this as a group of 2. Council, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. All those, any more questions? All those in favor of the motion of accepting?
We got a motion?
I thought there had been a motion, I'm sorry.
I so move.
Thank you, Mr. Daughtery, who's made the motion to approve. Any questions or comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Harris.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more. We added unfinished business to C.B. Aycock, Charles B. Aycock birthplace resolution. Mr. Smith,
Which I would defer to
anything on that?
Mr. Mayo.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Chairman, I want to just recap a little bit. On April 25th, myself and Commissioner Pate and Commissioner Aycock attended the meeting with out at the Aycock birthplace with the North Carolina Department of Cultural Resources Secretary Susan Klutz, and the outpouring from the community and the comments was just overwhelming. It was unbelievable, the support up on Lanier County, because the Charles B. Aycock birthplace is a valuable education tool to our schools. There's a lot of students that travel up there, and when I read the resolution in a few minutes, you will understand that it's very important that we preserve this legacy so our children can understand how people lived in the 1800s. So having said that, Secretary Klutz was very honest with us. She said, in order to keep this open, it's going to depend on you, your citizens, and letting the legislatures know. So I have resolutions from Fremont, Pikeville, and Eureka that I want to put into this package along with the county commissioners. Send it over to Governor McCrory, all the legislature, let them know that we support the Charles B. Aycock birthplace and that we want to see it kept open for the education system of our county and possibly economic development. So at this time, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to read the resolution.
Yes, sir.
Whereas the Governor Charles B. Aycock birthplace is a state historic site that preserves and enhances the educational growth of all of the citizens in North Carolina. And whereas the Wayne County Board of Commissioners believe that the Charles B. Aycock birthplace represents a living history showing how North Carolinians lived in the 1800s, and whereas there are a few places in eastern North Carolina where one can obtain a real understanding of what life was like for those that came before us and what they experienced to make life better for all of us now. And whereas students visiting the Charles B. Aycock birthplace are given the opportunity to make candles and butter and have the opportunity to practice writing with a quill pen and participate in a spelling bee, and whereas the students have the opportunity to interact with costume docents while learning about 19th century farm chores such as blacksmithing, open hearth cooking, plowing, sheep shearing, and lye soap making. And whereas the municipalities of Fremont, Pikeville, and Eureka in northern Wayne County support the continued operation of Governor Charles B. Aycock birthplace, and whereas it is the opinion of the Wayne County Board of Commissioners that citizens and students will lose substantial educational opportunities if the Governor Charles B. Aycock birthplace is closed. And whereas the Wayne County Board of Commissioners believes that the state of North Carolina should maintain the Governor Charles B. Aycock birthplace. And whereas the Wayne County Board of Commissioners believes that keeping the Governor Charles B. Aycock birthplace open and operational will assist North Carolina's efforts to increase the tourism industry and the accompanying economic benefits to North Carolina. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wayne County Board of Commissioners strongly urges the state of North Carolina to continue to fund the Governor Charles B. Aycock birthplace, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to Governor Pat McCrory and the individuals serving in the North Carolina State Senate and the North Carolina House of Representatives. Adopted this the 7th day of May, 2013. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Okay, the motion's on the floor by Mr. Mayo that we adopt this resolution. Any comments?
Just a quick one, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Pate?
My wife told me I had to do this because she is a retired school teacher. She took her kids out to this Aycock birthplace every year, and all those kids always remember all the things that they've seen out there. And the day we were there, it was swarming with kids like a beehive. So it's very important, and I support this resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. Any others? Mr. Aycock?
The day that we were out there, like Mr. Pate said, Mr. Mayo, there were several school groups there, and we keep saying Wayne County. There was one bus there that day from Sampson County, so it is used other than just for Wayne County.
Well,
Thank you, Mr. Aycock. Mr.
Chairman,
Cromartie?
when I was aware that this proclamation was on the way, I had an opportunity to talk with Dr. Sandra McCullum just to get a feel for really how much the school system will use it and how they plan to use it in the future. It still remains as a viable place for students to go to learn about the ways of old. And I would only like to encourage the school systems to more thoroughly educate all children about the totality of the birthplace and the governor at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Any others? All those in favor of the motion to approve the resolution, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Thank you. The Board of Commissioners' comments of Mr. Bell.
I'm going to pass, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. Mr. Daughtery.
I will save my remarks till the next Commissioners' meeting.
Mr. Mayo.
I just wanted to say one thing is that I had an opportunity to get down to the Pickle Festival in Mount Olive. It looked like Times Square in New York City. This thing was well attended and a great place to have family fun. There was a lot of families there with children, and I just want to say that my wife and I spent about 2.5 hours there, and I love funnel cakes, and I had to walk away, obviously. But the key is that it is a great opportunity for people to come out and enjoy what Wayne County offers. The Pickle Festival has been around for how many years? Long time. But yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed it. So I just want to say that I appreciate what the people of Mount Olive have put forth a tremendous effort to put that on. Even my wife enjoyed the classic cars. They had a classic car exhibit that was second to none. So I just want to say to the town and southern part of Wayne County that I appreciate what they did at the Pickle Festival. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo. Mr. Cromartie.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I do want to give Mr. Mayo a high five for mentioning Mount Olive and the Pickle Festival. That just continues on the road to the high cultural nature that Mount Olive is arriving to with the library situation today, and then the Pickle Festival that you were involved in, and all the other things that Mount Olive is doing. Thank you for recognizing that, and Mount Olive thanks you.
Thank you, Mr. Cromartie. Mr. Pate?
I too wasn't gonna say anything, but now he's talking about funnel cakes, it made me think about something. We, went to the health forum yesterday, and, which is very important to the, our county. You know, it's important for people to be eating healthy. Now, we don't always do that, but it's important. And to our economic future and to business, because a healthy employee is one that'll show up for work. And, I'd like, you know, everywhere we go, they feed us. I'd like for us as commissioners to have the option to have some healthy choices. And it's some great food that's being served to us back here at all these places we go, but I'd really need to have a choice, or I'm gonna have to have a clothing allowance.
No.
So anyway, if that could take place, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pate. Mr. Aycock?
I have two short things. First of all, I would like to commend part of our staff, especially the ones that, with Channel 10. I go all over the county. I'm the at-large commissioner, so I'm accountable to everyone, and so I try to go different places over the county. And I did not have the privilege of watching the TV, Channel 10. My service that I had at my house, I couldn't get it. I just changed about a month ago, so I now have the pleasure of watching, and not just the commissioners' meetings, because I don't watch a lot of it because I'm here. But the other programs that Wayne and the staff puts on, they need to be commended. And like I said, everywhere I go, people are saying, we're watching you on television, we're watching y'all on TV. Contrary to what some may say, it is being watched. One more thing. Friday is Relay for Life. I'm not a purple person, but this week I am. So go out to the fairgrounds Friday evening, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. There'll be plenty of food. I'm not going to say it's healthy food, but there'll be plenty of food. And support Relay for Life, because it means a lot to me. It means a lot to a lot of people. But just please support Relay for Life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aycock.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Daugherty?
All right, Nick, I wanted to have a few words here.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Ed Cromartie, wait till we get I-795 down there to Mount Olive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daugherty. Now, let me finish up and with my comments, and I've asked the finance director to stay for this purpose and to help me through my comments. We have met for years. It's, I guess, 7:30 and ended up around 12 and gone to lunch. Today we started at 2:30, which is 4.5 hours, by the way. Today we started at 2:30, and it's about 4 minutes to 8, so that's 5.5 hours. So we spent an hour longer than general, but we've had a lot of discussion. But believe it or not, in our agenda, preparing for this agenda, we actually narrowed it down because we knew it would be an evening meeting, but we had a lot of budget amendments, and that's what I want to talk about. The value of this county has just increased, as Mr. Smith had mentioned in his Friday morning report on TV in his interview, which was an excellent interview. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Did a great job on the fly, moving in and out of meetings all day and then sliding in there for about 9 minutes off the cuff. But as you heard Mr. Smith say, that we've got a county that's worth a little over $7 billion. $7 billion. And we have a budget that the county taxpayers of about $158 million. And in that, we have 7 commissioners in this county, as you all know. I'm talking to each one of you now, that we have been doing a lot of work, and I want to commend you as chairman for staying focused and not getting distracted. And I'm talking to each one of you. You haven't got distracted. You've been at these briefings that the county manager has had with his departments that he has every year. I decided this year as chairman that I wanted to lock up with these, and I've asked Joe Daugherty to hang in there with me, and he said he would go every day and be there to listen in to Mr. Smith go over these budget items with his department heads. And of course, the finance director being there every step of the way, and her staff. I want to commend them for that. We've been spending many hours, and to take and absorb that in a matter of about 15 days is very tasking on the brain between the ears when you get home. I don't see sometimes how you do it, Mr. Smith. And knowing what went on with the Ceridian and knowing what has gone on and with the other commissioners here, I want to tell you that we are striving to do the best for the county tax dollars. That's just plain and simple. And looking at these dollars, we're asking as facility director that you've hired and asked for Mr. Smith and the facilities committee, we're wanting people to come to us and tell us what they need. And I don't think that's a secret. But Wayne Community College, we're having a meeting with their facilities. We wanted to have it last week, but Ray LaHood came to town. You didn't want to pass up a chance to talk to the Transportation Secretary of the United States of America. Comes right here and sits with you. You have to talk to Dr. Albertson and say, we just can't make it today. We reschedule that. And we apologize for the citizens who planned to go there because we did make an announcement that we were going to have that meeting. But there's been some questions to me as chairman, and you commissioners have called me questioning the school and the education process, and how we're to deal with the facilities. And we need a facility meeting, and having some Board of Education members to talk about the commissioners and what we're going to do. And you commissioners have taken the phone calls, and you've called me, and you've questioned that. And how are we prepared to do what some of the County Board of Education members are claiming that we have to do or should do or haven't been doing? So, you commissioners, I want you to understand today that there's a process. If you don't understand, then Ms. Holt, I've asked her to come today to explain to you more or less how this money that they have or they have access to, why it's there. And Ms. Holt, if you'll come and sort of just give us an overview of some of the questions I've had for you and some of the other commissioners have had, just a synopsis of the Board of Education, how do they have access to money through this board, what we do each year, and really the bottom line, how much money do they have right now that they can say, we want it? So there's 3 questions there, so if you would take the stage. Ms. Holt, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Hope I haven't been too vague.
First, I'd like to address the sales tax. I think that's the ones that we talk about a lot. And sometimes when I'm doing the quarterly report, financial reports I'm talking about, the portion that is Article 40 and Article 42, which is the school's portions of the sales tax. It is restricted dollars that we move into a restricted fund. We move the 30% and the 60% into a restricted fund that holds their sales tax dollars. As of today, in that particular fund is $9.5 million. My estimate as of June 30th would be $10.1 million. I would like to make a comment on that. From that fund is the money we fund the maintenance capital outlay that the schools ask for in their budget every year. Over the past several years, they have been asking for $2 million per year. Now, this is also the fund that if they borrow and they commit sales tax dollars to pay the debt out of, this is the fund that you pay the debt out of. They do not have any debt that is being paid right now, so that is one reason that the cash balance is increasing each year. During this fiscal year, they asked for an additional $2,060,000 to support vehicles and furniture. That's correct. Vehicles and furniture, and we moved that over to their capital outlay maintenance fund. So I did write down, balances over the last couple of years. As of June 30th, 2010, they had $5.6 million. June 30th, 2011, $8.3 million. June 30th, 2012, $10.3 million. And as I said, my estimate for June 30th, 2013 is $10.1 million. The reason it's decreasing is because of the additional funds they asked to support the furniture and vehicles that we moved at the $2,060,000. So that is the main portion of the money they have. We do have, we have a fund that holds qualified school construction money that we borrowed. We also have a fund that holds their current expense money. That is the money you give them annually for current expenses. We transfer over about $18.8 million to that fund each year. And that is given out on a monthly basis to the schools.
$18.8 million.
Yes, sir.
Now, there was comments made by one Board of Education member said that we had not given an extra amount of money over the last 5 or 6 years. And there was something, I want to speculate, 5% that we had been given? Help me.
No, we've had some years back that we've given, but we also give additional funds. And this is, and I don't know that, do we count the graduation and all that?
That is in part of the general fund. We do
Yeah.
count that, but that is not in these funds.
Yeah, that's something I want to make mention of. We also give, like, the graduation coaches. You've given additional money for summer schools, the We Wings program. Those are on top of that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
so
that's
of that 19, so that
110,000
puts you over the 19 million mark.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, we get comments and questions from.
Oh, and school resource officers too. That's what I'm telling you is those things are in there, but they're not in that current expense.
Not part of the 18.8.
Exactly,
Yes.
but I think it's important that you see all of it and
And part of the
understand
18.8 is, what is capital in that for capital outlay? Is an additional 2 or
Yes.
3 million?
The
How much
capital
is that?
outlay maintenance is coming through the sales tax money over to I'll tell you what they're spending, they have requested in their budget to spend it on this year.
So you've already got their requests for their budget
No,
this year?
this current year.
Okay. When do you have to have that?
It's due May 15th.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna give you the revised.
I'm sorry, which includes the capital outlay?
Oh, no, we don't have it. I'm sorry.
May 15th is their deadline, which
It's a deadline
includes the
for current
capital
expense
outlay?
in the capital.
Which includes their capital outlay?
Yes.
That's about a 15th?
Yes.
And their capital outlay, that come from their facilities committee?
It would come from the board. We get a request for typically what has been about $2 million in their current expense. We will get that, and usually I get a letter from the superintendent, on or before the 15th of May. By
Okay.
law, they have to have it here by the 15th.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry. Now, please.
Okay.
In that capital outlay maintenance budget, the original budget had $1 million in roofs and $1 million in small projects. And then they added the additional $2,060,000, putting an extra $1.5 million in furniture and an extra $560,000 in vehicles.
So the way I understand it is that they started their budget with 18.8, they added $1 million, another $1.5 million for capital outlay.
Well,
And then
now the
2.6.
18's current expense money.
Mhm.
That's different than the $2 million.
Then the
Right.
$2 million.
Right, but
The
you add
18 million comes straight from the general fund.
the 18 million,
Yes, sir.
and then they added $1 million for capital outlay, and then another $1.5 million. So that's like 2.5 million that added to the 18?
No, sir.
Okay, just help me.
It's a separate pot of money. The
Okay.
18 million is current expense money.
All
That
right.
comes straight through
From the
from the general fund over to support current expense. The capital outlay maintenance comes through the sales tax money. And that's where they added another $2,060,000.
Okay.
So they took the capital outlay maintenance to $4,060,000 for this year.
4,060,000.
But if we go back, and we can give you a history on it, when you go back, there have been increases in current expense, and there have been increases in those years where they were losing, for instance, the summer school program 2 or 3 years ago.
And that was
The- and
$250,000.
250, so you stepped up to fund that, as well as the We Wings, because they were looking to expand that, so you have increased those.
And we have continued to budget those funds.
Yes, and we've done it every year.
And then, of course, we applied for the 15 million for the
Yes.
Norwayne Elementary and the Eastern, Norwayne Middle and Eastern Wayne
That's correct.
Elementary. And
Which are using lottery funds and the QSCAB funds or federal dollars to pay that. But with sequestration, we already know we're going to lose 50,000, of which our fund, the general fund is going to have to pick up 50,000.
Right.
Or phase two, we don't know. We're still waiting to see when that shoe drops.
They cut our interest reimbursement for the next
So we know
fiscal
we
year.
have at least 50,000 we're going to have to pick up additionally.
Right. So if we have constituents that come into us in the county and they are asking us and we tell them that, you probably need to ask the Board of Education, I'm just wanting these commissioners to understand that they have these funds to manage and these are their funds.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So if they need something that is needed in a particular school,
They can utilize it.
then they can utilize this 10.1
Yes,
million
the
dollars.
10.1 million is the one you need to speak of.
But you borrow and pay, when you borrow money to do that, you use that part of that 10.1 million to pay for what you have borrowed.
Right. If they borrow funds for a future project and they support the future debt with sales tax, that's what they agree that they're going to pay it back with, then this money that's holding this 10 million, the debt must be paid before you send the capital outlay maintenance dollars over there. The debt has to be paid first.
I see.
Also,
Got
when
it.
we say, when she said schools borrowed, the county borrows.
Right.
But they
That's
agree that that's what the funds that will be used to pay the debt.
They
That's
can't
where-
borrow it.
We
They
borrow
can't
for them.
Right, that's why we
We
need a bond
borrow,
rating
and
high
it's
in
on our
order to borrow
books.
at a low rate. That's
Exactly,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, you've helped me a lot understand it better, and I hope that, are there any commissioners that have any questions? Mr. Bate, Mr. Mayo, and Mr. Daughter's raising his hand.
Yeah, just real quick, I wrote as fast as I could, but could we get a summary fact sheet on this kind of thing?
Sure.
It might help
We can
me.
put something together.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
Because I'm not sure I wrote all this down right
Sure.
anyway, so.
We can give you a
Okay.
history on it, the changes the last 5 years.
That's
We can do
exactly
that.
right. Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Mayo?
Yes, sales tax monies,
Yes, sir.
is there a percentage that the education system gets of county?
Article 40, they get 30%. Article 42, they get 60%. That's by law.
40 is 30%?
40 is 30%.
Yeah.
Article 42 is 60%.
Right.
And, and you want to know what that would come to in a year.
Uh-huh.
And actually, we've budgeted very close this year. I have budgeted 3.9 million, and we're going to collect right at that.
Sales tax.
Sales
receipt for
tax,
that.
for both articles, I'm predicting 3.9
Flat,
million.
Pretty flat.
Okay, what I'm going with this is that we just talked about when Highway 70 bypass opens, we're gonna lose some tax receipts. And I'm just thinking because the less tax receipts we have, the less money the Board of Education gets.
That's correct.
Even though
That's
percentage
correct.
is there, if the money's not there, they won't get it. So
If receipts go down, that goes down.
it's just something to keep in mind as we
Sure.
move forward.
The economy affects the schools through the sales tax as well as us.
Yeah.
I think the other, Mr. Chairman, if I can,
Yes,
other,
sir.
did you touch on the lottery? Because there's also a balance on the,
I don't have that, I don't
yeah,
have the
just, you
lottery
just need to know
balance.
that. And we'll also
Right.
detail that out too, because I think one of you questioned me a couple days ago about the lottery, because we're utilizing $1 million a year out of the
Right.
lottery
$1,070,000.
fund. But, you're building some of that, but that's obviously the state is taking some of it. So we used to have a pretty good chunk of money.
And that's not
they didn't
building
use
as
a lot
fast
some of
now.
that. It's not growing like it was, but still we'll outline that so you have it.
Look at a trend. Look at a
Yes,
trend.
absolutely.
Mr. Daughtery?
If I'm understanding this correctly, we're paying $8.8 million to the schools on an annual basis for their operation.
18.
Yeah, 18.8 million. Is that correct?
18.8.
In addition to that, you've got several programs, summer school program, these programs that we've picked up
Yes,
on the county and pay for,
yes.
but I don't think that is being told to the citizens in the community. And I'm just wondering why we would keep that separate rather than if the cost of the summer school is approximately $250,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just increase your funding by that amount and say, here, schools, you pay for it?
So you do not increase the current expense dollars. If you increase the current, and this is nothing to the school board or anyone.
Okay.
But if you increase the current expense dollar, the monies you give them, you are then obligated by law over an average of, is it 3? 3 years to give them that amount of money. By leaving those dollars, and I clearly have talked to the superintendent about that, by having those dollars on the other side, you as a board have free reign over, do you do it or not? So we've kept it separate, so you have the choice of deleting those or altering it, go up or down.
Good answer.
Okay.
Now, I just want to make sure when we get our budget out there that that has got to be explained, that we are picking up those additional dollars.
Yeah.
And the next question, and I'll be brief on this, I was concerned to see that they wanted an additional $1 million. Been in the newspaper, and several people have
They
talked
mentioned
to-
in our joint
saying that,
meeting, I
yeah,
think.
they needed an additional $1 million. But if they were getting $2 million and wanted an additional $1 million, they're wanting their budget to show $3 million.
That's correct.
But this year, they got $4 million.
Well, that was through an amendment. And that,
Well,
you're
whether an
right.
amendment or not, they got a little over $4 million.
The original was $2 million. They asked for another $2,060,000. And
But
that-
they
right.
did, in fact, get a little over $4 million.
Correct, from their sales tax.
From their sales tax.
Right. But the $3 million is coming from
I
their
mean,
sales
they
tax.
seriously could come in here tomorrow, and they have 9 point, whatever the dollar amount was, could come in tomorrow and say, we have the following projects equaling $9 million, make the request and draw down the $9 million.
Well, I'm just saying that they have in fact got additional funding. I don't think the word's getting out though. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, a lot of questions and a lot of phone calls in my arena. And you commissioners have been asking a lot of questions, and I want to make sure that finance director explained to me basically what we were holding for, the school system. And any other questions for Ms. Holt? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
I think that's good.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Do, thank you. Mr. Smith?
I think that's all we have this evening.
Mr. Parker? Okay. Is there a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, motion's made, we adjourn. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank